We're going to interrupt to take you also to Texas, to the governor. Greg Abbott is speaking now and addressing reporters. Let's listen in.
With us here today. A lot has happened in the past 24 hours since the last briefing. I'd like to bring you up to speed on what I know and then take a few questions. Let me first start with some generalities and then get down to some more granular details. First, now that the hurricane has come on shore, our primary concern remains dramatic flooding. According to information that I was provided, there's been about 20 inches of rain in the Corpus Christi area, about 16 inches of rain in the Houston area, and our biggest concern is the possibility of between 20 and 30 more inches of rain in areas ranging from Corpus Christi over to Houston. Because of the flooding, one of the top focal points that we are concerned about is ongoing rescue and recovery. We want to do everything we possibly can to keep people out of rising water. Part of that is by constant warnings to the public about being vigilant, about observing rising water around you. As you're traveling, if you are traveling out on the road, always watch for water on the road, remembering that when you come across water, it could be far deeper than what your eye observes, or the swiftness of the current can be far stronger than what you perceive. You all know the well-known phrase, and that is turn around, don't drown. Don't risk your life. Still, the most important thing that all Texans can do who are affected by the storm is to put your life and the protection of your life first and foremost. In addition to that, the state and various agencies remain very active in the search and rescue process, and that will be one of the foremost tasks that we undertake in the coming days. We have focused on working with and supporting evacuees, especially from around the Corpus Christi area, now expanding to some larger areas. I had the opportunity yesterday afternoon to go to San Antonio to visit with evacuees as they were getting off of buses that had come in from the Corpus Christi area. You could sense a sense of relief on their part that they were out of the way of what was an increasingly threatening storm. They were happy to be alive, and they were at peace in that regard, but obviously also concerned about what they had left behind, about the possibility that they had lost or would be losing the place they lived as well as some of their property. But most importantly, they were just happy to be alive. I have issued a disaster declaration that originally included 30 counties, and this is a state disaster declaration, and we have now added 20 more counties for a total of 6 counties. Okay. As you probably know, I requested a federal disaster declaration that the President granted last night. This is incredibly important and extremely fast. What the presidential proclamation about our disaster declaration does is it immediately triggers the implementation of FEMA and FEMA's assistance for individuals as well as cities and counties, for all of us to begin the rebuilding process as quickly as possible. Something else that I did yesterday is I issued a proclamation waiving hotel occupancy taxes for all evacuees and first responders. So any place in the state of Texas where there's an evacuee or a first responder who is affected by this storm, they will be able to have the hotel taxes waived. I just got word from the Fort Bend County Judge, who has issued a voluntary evacuation for the Brazos River area in Fort Bend County and a mandatory evacuation along the San Bernard. This is one of the foremost regions in the state of Texas that already has flooding, and we anticipate the flooding to grow worse in that area. This morning, I had the opportunity to make phone calls to several of the mayors who were affected by the hurricane last night. I spoke with the mayor of Victoria and spoke with the mayor of Port Lavaca. I made phone calls to the mayors of Corpus Christi as well as Rockport, and with the latter two, I did not have the ability to connect with them, but left messages for them. For the mayors of Victoria and Port Lavaca, they seem to be in strong spirits. They obviously preside over cities that have suffered some very meaningful damage, but they are working very aggressively to try to help their citizens respond to their challenges. And I offer them, as well as the mayors of Corpus Christi and Rockport, any and all help that the state of Texas can provide. Now, for some more granular detail, as a result of the briefing that I just had, looking at the Texas Military Division, there are more than 1,300 service members who are currently activated, and we anticipate increasing that amount by 500 more, getting us above 1,800 service members who will be activated to assist in responding to the hurricane and its aftermath. As far as the Texas Department of Transportation, they are already undertaking cleanup operations around the Corpus Christi and Yoakum areas, working to clear pathways along roadways there, which is impressive that they were able to get in that quickly and begin that process. With the PUC, they say that there are more than 338,000 outages, and it will still be several days, perhaps, before those outages will be able to be addressed. The reason for that is because the wind speed in the area of where they're going to be able to take care of those outages has to decrease below a certain level before they are able to respond. As far as emergency services are concerned, which includes the Texas military, includes Texas Parks and Wildlife, it includes Texas Task Force 1 and Texas Task Force 2. One of their primary focal points is search and rescue. They've already made several search and rescue operations, primarily hoisting through the helicopter process, and we have about 1,000 personnel in the state of Texas who were assigned to search and rescue. The Texas Parks and Wildlife has about 1,500 evacuees at state parks, and again, any cost that would normally be incurred at a state park has been waived for evacuees. For the Texas Department of Public Safety, they have assigned about 80 troopers to the Corpus Christi area to assist in law enforcement needs in that region. For the Red Cross, they have 21 shelters open already with a population of about 1,450, and they have 42 more shelters on standby to be ready. Importantly, those are Red Cross shelters. There are so many other shelters across the state of Texas, whether they be local churches or other local facilities, and we are very, very appreciative of everyone in the state of Texas who is providing shelter, food, and other supplies. Along those lines, I do want to express my gratitude. At the shelter that I was at yesterday, there was a need for towels and for blanketing and bedding for the people who were there. We made a public plea, and that plea was answered very swiftly. So thank you to the people of San Antonio for responding to the needs of the people from Corpus Christi who have shelter in San Antonio. On transportation, we have 228 buses that are available to continue to move evacuees, and more than 100 bus trips for evacuees have already been undertaken. We have across multiple agencies, we are in the process of getting water, ice, food, and supplies to needed areas. We're in the process of working to set up staging areas where those supplies will soon be able to be delivered to those who need them. With that, why don't I take a few questions?
Sir, can you confirm,
yes.
Governor, what guidance have you been given about how bad the flooding and flash flooding could be? Are we expecting homes to be swept away off riverbanks like we saw in years previous recent flooding events, and as that pertains to your search and rescue crews ready to mobilize? What would you say to those people who are in their homes and being advised to evacuate?
Sure. The best information we have are predictions about the rainfall that will come on top of the rainfall that's already occurred. And that is that in various key regions, ranging from Corpus Christi to the Houston area, perhaps as much as between 20 and 30 more inches of rain could be coming down. That is coming down on already saturated ground and already filled up waterways, whether they be creeks, bayous, or rivers. And so there is the potential for very dramatic flooding. It's essential for people who are near those flood zones to do several things. One is to obviously be aware of your surroundings. Two is to listen to warnings given out by local officials and heed those warnings. And three, whenever you do venture out by car or any other way, be very cautious, knowing that not only is it rising water, but oftentimes it will be swift moving water that can carry you away. For everybody in the state of Texas, your top responsibility is to protect your life. So whenever you're near water, be sure that you're doing everything to stay safe.
Sir, any confirmed fatalities in the storm? We got reports of 8 dead in the Rockford area?
We don't have any information right now that we can confirm any fatalities. That's information that we will be working with local officials, seeking confirmation that we can report later.
Do you expect to report that later?
Well, whenever we receive confirmation of fatalities and confirmation that it was a result of the storm as opposed to some other cause, we will confirm it, but we cannot confirm it at this time.
Have you received any unconfirmed reports that you're looking into?
No.
Do you know about how many rescues have been performed?
So what's happening right now is our first responders are absolutely putting their lives on the line to get out there and do search and rescue for any of those that are still in need. And I think what you're going to see over these next few hours and probably into days is that as the wind conditions and the weather conditions allow, they are going to get out there and do as many rescues as they possibly can. The message to those that may need help or rescue is make sure that you put that signal out there that you are still there and you still need help. If you still have electricity or phone service at all and batteries, send those messages out, make sure that we can see them. But I need you to keep our first responders in your thoughts and prayers, because they are absolutely risking their lives to get out there in these dangerous conditions to look for those that are in need.
Governor, can you share with us some of the human contact you had caught in with the evacuees, and this is something you're going to continue to do as this scenario plays itself out?
Right. It was so heartening to shake the hands of these evacuees as they got off of these buses. And I walked around the school that they were being housed in and got to visit with them. And they are what I call typical Texans. They were resilient, they were strong spirited, they were happy, they were just happy to be there and be alive. But obviously they were in need. There was a part of them that were facing a sense of the shock that comes with displacement. And there was a growing need for supplies. They are receiving 3 meals a day, but they're just so warm-hearted, so full of spirit, and so pleased to be alive.
As we get time for 2 more.
Do you have an estimate of how much it's going to cost the state with damages?
is way too early to make any estimates about that. What I can say is that we are so pleased that the federal government and the White House have stepped up in the strong way they have by granting our disaster declaration that will enable Texas and Texans to be able to better deal with the financial consequences of the storm.
We've heard some reports in the field of undocumented immigrants being turned away at shelters. Can you speak to that, or to the directions you've given shelters regarding IDs?
Yeah, I have no information about that.
Sir, you suggested earlier in the week that there were people not heeding the evacuation calls, maybe more than expected. Is that still the case?
Well, I'll correct that. I didn't suggest that they were not heeding it. What I was suggesting is that if a local official has warned people to evacuate, it is very important that citizens heed those warnings by their local officials. Great. Thank you.